The following program, Norml Show Live, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate for the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate or encourage any illegal activity and advise all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws by visiting norml.org, Norml.org. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers of Norml Show Live are their own and do not necessarily reflect the philosophy and policies of Norml. Listener discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. Then it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think we need to think if we criminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws presents Norml Show Live, Marijuana Nation. Now, here's your host, Norml's Outreach Coordinator, Radical Russ Belville.
Good afternoon, tokers and tokettes. It is Tuesday, August 16th, 2011, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. Thanks for joining us for our show today. We are in the middle of legalization week right here at Norml Show Live, taking a look at 4 western states that are proposing an end to adult marijuana prohibition. Yesterday, we spoke with Oregon activists, and you can catch that interview up on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/radicalruss. Today, we're going to California. We'll be visiting with Dale Sky Jones from Oaksterdam University and Dr. Frank Lucido from the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act to talk about ending marijuana prohibition in California. Tomorrow we'll talk about Colorado, and on Thursday we'll be talking about Washington State. But let's get back to the show. Joining us from our virtual studio in beautiful Astoria, Oregon, is the lovely Cannabis Carrie. Hi, Carrie. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I wish I was still in the studio.
I know. Everybody wishes you were still in the studio. We love having you here. It's great to have you live. And for those of you who are joining us new to the show, Carrie is our news editor, senior news editor, newly promoted. And she brings us
That means I'm old.
That's not what it means. And she brings us our hemp headlines right after the first break. So what do we got in the news today?
Well, today, among some other news, we're also going to talk about President Obama answering the legalization question yet again. And also we're going to go to Portland, but not Portland, Oregon, Portland, Maine, where a group there is trying to put a lowest priority initiative on the ballot.
All right. We got that and other news, including news from here in Clark County, Washington, the John Ray Wilson appeal in New Jersey, and new ordinance out of Flint, Michigan. We'll get to that right after the first break. Then it's Electric Tuesday. For our Daily Toker Tunes today, I found a band that has got to be the most appropriately named band for Electric Tuesday, except for the very first part. They're called Sunday on Weed. But we don't do tunes on Sunday, so we'll play them on Tuesday. They're coming up at 20 after. At 1:30, we're going to, again, speak with Dale Sky Jones and Dr. Frank Lucido. And then at the end of the show, 50 past, we're debuting a new segment on the show that we are calling, I believe, if I came up with the final name for it here, Todd's Tuesday Toker Topic. I think that's what it is. Joining us in the studio is Todd Armstrong, local Portland comedian.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Todd. We'll get to that at 1:30. Today's topic is
Stoners versus potheads.
Stoners versus potheads. So all that and more coming up on Norml Show Live today. We are the voice of the marijuana nation. You can always subscribe to our first hour via iTunes. Just look for Norml through the iTunes store there. You should be able to find us. Also, check out our blog at stash.norml.org for more information and downloads of the songs and most of the stashes that we put up there. The video versions of the rants are there too. And make sure you check out Norml.org. We will be at Seattle Hemp Fest this weekend.
This is Norml Show Live, the voice of the marijuana nation.
In today's busy world, we're inundated by advertising for all types of pharmaceuticals that come with a laundry list of potential side effects. Shouldn't you have better medical choices? Natural alternatives to pills pushed by Big Pharma? At Alternative Medical Choices, you could choose natural, safe, and effective alternative therapies that are right for your budget without nasty side effects. Cannabis, or marijuana, has been a legal medicine in the Pacific Northwest since 1998. Our doctors will help determine your qualifications for a medical marijuana recommendation in Oregon, no matter where you live. Our massage therapist will ease your aches and stress with soothing hemp seed oil or cannabis-infused massage salves. We also offer acupuncture, Reiki, and other alternative health therapies. Call Alternative Medical Choices in Portland, Oregon at 503-288-5579 or visit our website at www.altmedchoices.com. We specialize in out-of-state recommendations. That's www.altmedchoices.com or call 503-288-5579.
What's up, guys? I'm Rory from Revolution, chilling at the Spring Fest, San Bernardino, California. Just chilling at the Norml Live. Want to say what's up and keep it green.
Hey, Tokers, this is Radical Russ encouraging you to check out the great music this summer. And one group you should definitely check out are big supporters of Norml and marijuana legalization, and that's Slightly Stupid. Get all the details online at seedlesssummertour.com. Slightly Stupid. Revolution. Swayze. And Cisco. It's the Stonia show of the summer, coming to Missoula, Boise, Redmond, Washington, Eugene and Jacksonville, Oregon, Lake Tahoe, Berkeley, San Diego, Salt Lake City, Aspen, Denver, Asbury Park, Guilford, New Hampshire, Philadelphia, Boston, New York, Baltimore, Charlotte, Cocoa Beach, Boca Raton, St. Augustine, Atlanta, Raleigh, Columbus, Ohio, Chicago, Mesa, Arizona, and Irvine, California. Don't miss it. For more details, visit SeedlessSummerTour.com. Seedless Summer Tour is sponsored by Seedless.com, Sector 9, Brood Shark, Revolution Vodka, and Silver Surfer Vaporizers.
Medical marijuana, industrial hemp, consumer cannabis. It's time for this week's Norml News with Cannabis Carrie.
Scott Morgan of StopTheDrugWar.org wrote a piece about President Obama today for the Huffington Post. In it, he says that it is pretty clear that anytime the president is going to take questions from the public, he will have to answer a question about legalizing marijuana. But even knowing that, it seems that President Obama is getting worse at answering the question, not any better. His latest attempt was at a town hall event in Cannon Falls, Minnesota yesterday. A woman in the audience asked the president, if you can't legalize marijuana, why can't you just legalize medical marijuana? We'll let you know in the video about Obama answering that. But as Morgan asked if it's the best policy that our current president can do to address the hottest topic in modern American politics, he equates the just leave it at that answer that President Obama gave as the most frustrating line the president has given about legalizing marijuana, and he would like the president to answer why sick people should have to worry about being arrested and thrown in jail for having marijuana in their pocket. He calls the president's position to be one of incoherence about his position on a topic that affects millions of Americans. A leader speaks to the challenges that we face, and in the approach to marijuana policy, President Obama's approach seems more senseless and politically cowardly.
All right, we're going to switch over to the video screen. Take a look at this video from the town hall meeting with President Obama and the legalization question from rawstory.com.
My name is Norml, and I just want to say that I'm really excited that you're here in Cannon Falls. And my question is there something we can do about the rising cost of prescription drugs? And number two, if you can't legalize marijuana, why can't we just legalize medical marijuana to help the people that need it?
Well, a lot of states are making decisions about medical marijuana as a controlled substance. The issue then is, is it being prescribed by a doctor as opposed to well, I'll leave it at that. With respect to prescription drugs, the prescription drug program that now is part of Medicare obviously has been very helpful.
And the rest of this goes on to discuss the first part of the question while he leaves the second part of the question withering on the vine. I'll just leave it at that. Is our president's response to whether or not we could legalize just medical marijuana to help the patients that truly need it, even if we can't go forward with full legalization for even healthy people. And his response to cancer patients, AIDS patients, people suffering from multiple sclerosis, ALS is, we'll just leave it at that. That's not the answer we were looking for, President Obama.
And a group in Portland, Maine that call themselves Sensible Portland, is trying to get a ballot measure to make marijuana one of the police department's lowest priorities. They have been collecting signatures to try and put that on the ballot for the voters of Portland, Maine, but last night was pretty much their last chance that they had to make that happen. The group came to a city council meeting prepared and ready. They had more than 2,000 signatures, but they fell short of their goal by 93 signatures. The chance that they had was to convince the city council last night to put it on the ballot for them, or to have the city council give them 10 extra days as to get the remaining 93 valid signatures that they needed. But in a unanimous decision, after all of the speeches and support, the city council decided to postpone the group's last-ditch effort and reject their plans, either for the extension or for putting it on the ballot for them. Sensible Portland says they are not giving up. They will continue to collect signatures for a ballot measure in the future. The council decided to discuss the issue again in October, but that will be too late for the marijuana ordinance to move forward at this time.
Oh, what a shame, to get so close on something like this and then, have to wait even longer. Once again, there's a terrible situation where we just need to legalize marijuana so that people can move forward with this. But it's a journey that takes many, many small steps. And I know we all get frustrated because we know the truth about it. We know marijuana is less harmful than alcohol, less harmful than aspirin or caffeine for that matter. And we know that it could do so much good for people as a medicine, as a relaxant, as a safer choice than alcohol or tobacco, and as, industrial hemp to save this planet. So it gets frustrating when you hear we're doing things like lowest law enforcement priority. Okay, you can still bust us. Could you at least just bust us last? That's really what lowest law enforcement priority says. So we continue to make these strides. Remember, folks, it's going to take some baby steps, and this is a marathon, not a sprint. All right, we have some news out of right here in the Pacific Northwest, just north of me in Clark County, Washington. Where Vancouver, Washington, just north of the river here from Portland. This is from the Oregonian. Clark County approves banning marijuana gardens for a year. The Clark County Commission voted this morning to extend a temporary emergency moratorium on collective medical marijuana gardens to 1 year. The vote followed a public hearing the commission was required to hold after it voted in favor of a 6-month moratorium in July. Representatives from the Clark County Sheriff's Office and numerous citizens urged the commission to extend the moratorium. Quote, "We need more time to study this problem and come up with safeguards for our neighborhoods," end quote, said Mike Cook of Clark County Sheriff's Office and commander of the Clark-Skamania County Drug Task Force. The impetus for the moratorium was a new state law that would allow up to 10 qualified medical marijuana users to establish a collective garden where no more than 45 plants could be grown for personal use. There is no limit on the number of gardens allowed in the state. The gardens are what remain of a much larger medical marijuana bill partially vetoed by Governor Chris Gregoire in April. The partial veto left a patchwork of ambiguous and inconsistent rules that cities and counties have found difficult to interpret. And, once again, here's a situation where people need to get their medicine, and Gregoire got so scared from the attorney letters, U.S. attorney letters, saying that they'd start prosecuting state employees that are involved in medical marijuana dispensaries. So the chance of having dispensaries and places that are, certified to grow for those dispensaries and having it all regulated that way, she vetoed that part, but in exchange gave this 10-member 45-plant collective garden thing. Well, with that, now we've got everybody trying to fend for themselves. Multiple gardens are going to have to spring up to be able to satisfy demand, and that leads to problems with neighbors. Problems where people don't like the skunky smell of the plants while they're in the bloom stage. People that don't like the possibility of rippers wanting to traipse through the neighborhood, following their nose and trampling over people's property lines to try to steal something that's worth its tenth as much of gold by weight. So this is a situation that is just crying out for more leadership, and people like Governor Gregoire just want to hide their head in the sand and think that it doesn't exist and pass these half patchwork measures to try to take care of people, and it only leads to more conflict and leads people that might have been supportive of medical marijuana previously to maybe think twice about it in the future. Let's get this regulated sensibly. Let's put this together so that the patients can truly get the access they deserve. Speaking of access to medical marijuana, we have another story coming out of Michigan this time, another medical marijuana state from MichiganLive.com. Flint Township approves a medical marijuana ordinance. After defeating a motion to postpone a vote on a medical marijuana ordinance, the Flint Township Board of Trustees approved the measure Monday. A vote on the ordinance was postponed at the board's August 1st meeting after several people raised concerns during public comment. The ordinance provides zoning requirements for medical marijuana businesses. Nick Panacidi, owner of the Michigan Wellness Center, spoke at the August 1st meeting and also at the Monday meeting. He said he was concerned about a part of the ordinance which reads, quote, "The Michigan Medical Marijuana Act does not authorize marijuana stores, dispensaries, compassion centers, or any medical marijuana business that may market to a wide customer base," end quote. Panacetti's business does not dispense marijuana, but rather provides information about medical marijuana and helps people apply for their prescription card. Again, they mean recommendation. Quote, "It's very clear in this wording that any medical marijuana business that markets to a wide customer base is prohibited," he said during public comment. "Let's extend the moratorium one more time. I don't see the harm in extending it one more time and getting it right." Flint Township currently has a moratorium on medical marijuana facilities set to expire October 4th. Well, okay, so obviously what they're trying to do here is trying to prevent any sort of storefront dispensary operations from coming into business because Lord knows we wouldn't want to be getting medicine to a wide customer base. It's another example of where they treat marijuana completely different than they would treat any other medicine. With any other medicine out there that we find, let's say we find, antibiotics, right? Penicillin. Well, all right, you can sell your penicillin to help people, you'll kill their infections, but don't do it to a wide customer base. We just need you to harvest your bread mold on your own in collectives, right? And then scrape it off and make your penicillin. And you can be a caregiver to someone who's sick and you can get your penicillin to them, right? And you can give it away for free. You can't get paid for your labor or anything. But we don't want to really have this expand to all the people who could use penicillin and have a wide customer market there for penicillin. No, this needs to be handled in small, semi-legal situations where we get it directly from the person who makes it to the person who needs to use it. We wouldn't put up with that. We would not put up with that with penicillin or Prozac or Levitra or anything out there. Every other drug in society, if it has a benefit to society, we let the market decide, we let the doctors decide, we let the patients decide how much there should be, how much it should cost, how they should get it. Only with medical marijuana, the least harmful of all these substances people could be using for a medical purpose. Only with medical marijuana do we have this idea that too many people using it is abuse and people selling it to a large market base is somehow criminal. All right, and in our final story, we go back to New Jersey for an update on the sad story of John Ray Wilson. We've told you the story before. John Ray Wilson is a multiple sclerosis patient who was sentenced to 5 years in state prison for growing 17 marijuana plants, or as the media likes to put it, manufacturing and drug possession. This from the Associated Press. A Somerset County man with multiple sclerosis is appealing his conviction for growing 17 marijuana plants. John Wilson of Franklin Township said he used the drug to treat his condition, but he wasn't allowed to say that to the jury in his 2009 trial. An appeals court ruled last month that a judge was right to bar the testimony and upheld his 5-year sentence. A marijuana advocacy group announced today that Wilson had asked the state Supreme Court to consider the case. Since Wilson's conviction, New Jersey has passed a law to allow medical marijuana, but the program is still being set up and marijuana is not yet being distributed legally to patients. Oh, but it's being distributed illegally. I can guarantee you that. These people that have found medical marijuana to be useful, they're not just sitting by and dying, waiting for the law to be put into effect, Governor Christie. You're just making criminals out of them. And how sad, John Ray Wilson, growing medical marijuana to treat his multiple sclerosis, busted in 2009. If he'd only been busted 2 years later, maybe 3 years later, once this program is finally into effect, he might have been able to present a medical defense. But what's the total Kafkaesque kangaroo court that we have in medical marijuana? When these guys go to court, since there is no such thing as medical marijuana, they're not allowed to say it. They're not allowed to present evidence that they're sick, that they got multiple sclerosis, or that they've used cannabis in any sort of way in a medicinal purpose. In fact, if they put medical and marijuana in the same paragraph while they're speaking, they can be held in contempt of court. There can be a mistrial. There's all sorts of terrible things that can happen here. It's this crazy legal mumbo jumbo that says if the law doesn't define it, then we have to throw them in jail. We have to make criminals out of them. It's as stupid as that story we told yesterday where California said that marijuana is neither an agricultural crop nor a horticultural product. It's just insanity. It's the emperor wears no clothes all over again. And it shows you the extents, even within our very language that we will go to, within our justice system, within our First Amendment rights that we will restrict just because someone happened to choose a leafy green substance, the wrong drug to treat their condition, one that didn't have a barcode on it. Woo boy, all alone out here in the studio. Wiz Khalifa and Ganja John are still on the road trip to California. They'll be back for Hemp Fest, and we'll be back right after this.
It's 20 after the hour, and we have to take a short break, if you know what I mean. Please support these sponsors who support Norml Show Live.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would send you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Legalize it. Don't criticize. This is Peter Tosh for Norml, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Did you know that more than 400,000 Americans were arrested last year for the possession of marijuana? People are being sentenced to up to 40 years for even standing beside a joint. Well, I think it is definitely time for you to help doing something towards this. To find out what you can do, just write Norml, N-O-R-M-L.
1600 K Street Northwest, Washington, D.C., 2006. That's 1600 K Street Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20006.
Help Norml to help protect your rights.
Hey, this is John Papa. You're listening to the Norml Show Live.
As High Times Senior Cultivation Editor, I'm often called into the field and asked to sample or even identify exotic strains of marijuana in their natural habitat. Now, for the first time, I've compiled more than 120 of my favorite strains into this single field guide designed to fit into your pocket as you travel the world in search of your favorite plant. From a friend's closet grow room to the wilds of Northern California, this single guide covers all of today's best-known strains, plus heirlooms and throwbacks, including High Times quality photos and information on each variety's genetic heritage and growing characteristics, plus my personal notes on aroma, flavor, and potency. So this is Danny Danko, author of the official High Times Field Guide to Marijuana Strains, wishing you good times and great ganja.
The official High Times Field Guide to Marijuana Strains is available at hightimes.com and finer bookstores.
It's time for your daily Toker Tunes, the best in 420 friendly music from all genres that uplifts, entertains, and informs the public. Today we bring you tunes for Electric Tuesday, our segment featuring the best of modern electric music in the genres of dance, new age, house, and experimental. If you'd like to submit your song to be played on Norml Show Live, send it to us at stash@norml.org. Now here's some more great independent marijuana music for today's Daily Toker Tunes.
All right, as you know, Cannabis Cure UK, our regular editor for Tuesday, is on the road with Ganja John and Wiz Khalifa, trying to stay out of the grasp of the Southern Oregon police departments. So it's up to me to pick your Electric Tuesday tune for today, and I went looking on the IOTA promo net and found a band that couldn't have a more appropriate name, aside from the weekday. They're called Sunday on Weed. And we don't have Toker Tunes on Sunday, so I figured I'd bring them to you on Tuesday. It's Sunday on Weed with Sunday on Weed Part 2, the second of the Sunday on Weed trilogy.
Someone good.
You want a copy of that song for your iPod? Check out the Daily Toker Tunes at the Stash blog by surfing to stash.norml.org and choosing Media and then Toker Tunes from the main menu.
Starfish Designs, makers of the original Gandalf.
I'm Radical Russ, and when I want to relax, I always have my 17-inch long original Gandalf from Starfish Designs nearby. The hand-blown borosilicate glass is strong and easy to clean, and the design is sleek and sophisticated. Starfish Designs are available from Bend, Oregon at a glass retailer near you. For locations, call 541-788-GLASS. That's 541-788-4527.
Hey, you're broadcasting on Stickcam, right? Yeah. Right, big up to the people at Stickcam. I broadcast on Stickcam to BeReal.tv, BeReal TV on Stickcam. So big up to everybody watching from this page. I know your show. I support you. Remember that. Y'all watch that show too, because the more informed you can be about this whole movement, the better. Because it takes all of us to have this knowledge, to be able to use it to obtain that legalization. We can get it, but it takes all of us.
Marijuana and alcohol are the two most popular recreational drugs in America. Marijuana smoking is non-toxic, relatively safe, and has a low risk of dependence. Alcohol drinking is potentially fatal, dangerous to society, and is quite addictive. Marijuana is safer, so why are we driving people to drink? That's the question of the new book, Marijuana is Safer, So Why Are We Driving People to Drink? By Paul Armentano, Mason Tvert, and Steve Fox. Visit Amazon.com or ChelseaGreen.com today to order your copy of Marijuana is Safer, or visit MarijuanaIsSafer.com.
Norml, unlike any other marijuana or drug reform organization, is built from the ground up by grassroots activists. We are the Marijuana Smokers Lobby, and we aren't just anti-prohibition, we're pro-marijuana. Every week, we take some time to talk to the citizens of local Norml chapters across the country and around the world, as well as others who are working to make a difference in the fight to end adult marijuana prohibition. In this segment, we call Grassroots Activism.
All right, folks, you know it's legalization week here on Norml Show Live. We dealt with Oregon yesterday. Now we head south to California. We've got two of the greatest activists in the state on the line with us. Joining us from Oaksterdam University is Dale Sky Jones. Dale, can you hear me okay?
Hi there. How you doing, Russ?
I'm doing fantastic. Nice to hear from you again. And also Dr. Frank Lucido. How you doing, Doctor?
Pretty good, Russ.
All right, glad to have you both here. I want to start with Dale. We were going to talk a little bit about Oaksterdam and your expansion before we get into the legalization questions. So tell us what's new for Oaksterdam and the state of Michigan.
Well, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, Russ. And really, this is just exciting to finally get Oaksterdam back east of the Mississippi. We've completely redone all of our classes to especially focus on students from any other state. You certainly don't have to be from Michigan to enjoy these classes. We're really trying to take it to the next level, both with continuing education and also really just to help the everyday person learn how to be a qualified patient. If they can't do so in their home state, we have quite a bit of time spent on how to work with your local government and change your local laws.
All right. How has the reaction been amongst the powers that be out there in Michigan? I just did a story on Flint, Michigan, enacting a new zoning ordinance on medical marijuana. Politically, how difficult is it for you guys to expand into Michigan?
Well, you know, Michigan in and of itself is facing their own set of difficulties, and I think that we're just stepping into a lot of, you know, what we can recognize really from all of these different states. There's a lot of political infighting amongst the medical marijuana community trying to vie for what each one strongly feels is right. And so even within the state of Michigan, you have divisions amongst the people that believe that only patients should grow only their own medicine, all the way through those that believe that dispensaries can offer safe access, to a push to even take it away from patients altogether and put it in the hands of the legislature for specific growth sites, which I don't think any of us here in the movement would like to see. So what really happened in Michigan was someone hit the fast forward button. It took California over a decade to get to this level of political sophistication in order to really attain this level of infighting.
Yeah.
And Michigan managed to get there in 2 years. And you know, we'd almost like to take credit for that because we came out and educated over 600 people in a matter of 3 months within the state of Michigan to get out there and really start changing laws.
Yeah.
And what you just talked about brings us to the next step. What do we do with what's changing faster than you can keep track of? And it's up to the educated folks that go into the medical cannabis movement in order to try to create this industry by offering up the best practices so that when they are challenged, they can stand. You know, they're not breaking other laws. They're being a good neighbor. They're getting the permits. They're paying their taxes. And much like Dr. Frank Lucido has done throughout his entire career, that they become the standard in their community by which others are measured by.
And let's turn to Dr. Lucido here. You've been working in the medical marijuana community for as long as there's been a definition of a medical marijuana community, and probably even before that. So let's speak to what Dale was bringing up about coming up with standards and best practices. What's going on in California with your work there to help enable those standards?
Well, you know, I've been working in this field, like you said, since '96, actually before Prop 215, because Dennis Perone and others had passed a medical marijuana law in San Francisco before our law. And so I had, 15 years experience there. And, of course, I go back to 1979 when I started my practice here in family practice, which I still do. What's really exciting is we're going to have another, in fact, we're going to be signing today, and we're going to be filing with the state on Friday, the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act of 2012, and the proponents are going to be Joe Rogaway, Pebbles Trippett, Omar Figueroa, William Panzer, and myself. So it's a stellar group that have been involved in this since the beginning, and it really is true legalization. So I'm really excited about this.
Well, let's get into what true legalization is. What are we going to do with this Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act of 2012?
Okay, well, it says the following statutes are hereby repealed from the Health and Safety Code. So basically, it repeals pretty much everything in the code that relates to cannabis. The only things that then we have to say is about driving and about minors. So then somewhere it says, let's see, cannabis-related conduct that contributes to delinquency of a minor shall continue to be punished by Penal Code Section 272. Driving while impaired by cannabis shall be punished by Vehicle Code Section blah, blah, blah. So we really take cannabis everywhere out of it, except that we have to keep certain punishments, because that's what's going to come up. What about the children? And as much as I did support Prop 19, because it was the one that made it to the ballot, the biggest complaint was that it increased the penalties for for smoking with the minor. So, in fact, smoking with anybody under 21 years of age. So I think this one is going to be true legalization, not written by the dispensary owners, and some of my best friends are dispensary owners, but really this is written by two of the best criminal attorneys, and Pebbles Trippett, who's been an activist for the longest time, and myself. So
Dr. Lucido, is this a kind of a deal where you're repealing everything that makes cannabis illegal, except for, of course, the driving and the kids, but not proposing how it shall be legal, like how it's going to be regulated, taxed, grown, all that?
Well, we have a pretty good floor, or ceiling, let's say. It says any regulations created by the Department of Public Health. Well, actually, we give the Department of Public Health the authority to, we give them 180 days to enact commercial regulations. So first of all, it's great to put it in the Department of Public Health rather than under law enforcement. And basically, that's just for commercial. So nothing shall be taxed commercially that's under 3 pounds and under 100 square feet of canopy.
Oh, okay.
So it's a generous enough floor or ceiling, whichever way you want to look at it, so that personal use, has a generous amount. And then and above that, it says the legislature has 180 days to effectuate a plan for commercial.
So, Dr. Lucido, is there a place on the web where our listeners can go to look up the language and figure out what's going on with it?
Yes. Cannabis Law Institute has a website. I don't know if we're with the final version is going to be signed tonight. So what's on there is probably a couple months old, and we're going to have within the day or so, somewhere between tonight when we sign it and Friday when we bring it into the state, it will be on that website. So Cannabis Law Institute. I'll also have it on my blog, which is easily found by just Googling Frank Lucido and blog. And
okay. We're speaking with Dr. Frank Lucido, who's a longtime medical marijuana doctor and activist in the state of California. Also on the line, Dale Sky Jones, the chancellor of Oaksterdam University. And Dale, last time we were talking legalization in 2010, you were leading the campaign with Prop 19. Is there another campaign now on the horizon for 2012?
Indeed, I was very, very pregnant leading the charge.
Yes, you were.
So I now have a new baby and a new coalition. Yes, my other baby. Frankly, the original group from Prop 19, did continue on and in fact worked towards improving upon the coalition. The current advisory group consists of. Well, I am the chair. My vice chair is Alice Huffman. She is the director for the California NAACP. I also have Antonio Gonzalez, who's the director for Latino Voters League, LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, UFCW Representative Dan Rush. We do have the labor unions, as well as unspoken support amongst many more that maybe aren't represented on our board but are part of our advisory panel. We've been focused largely on polling and testing and research. The biggest push that I've had personally is to increase the coalition and try to bring truly the opposition from Prop 19 into a new coalition. And both working on new legislative things for California and working towards really what our possibilities might be in 2012 is what we've all been focused on. And it's remarkable because I've been working shoulder to shoulder with the people that held up the No on 19 signs. So it's exciting to move forward. And I'm actually excited to hear about Frank Lucido's and Joe Rogaway's and the whole group. There's countless folks that work on that. I understand that there is some very interesting language that has come of that we're also taking a look at. The difficult part is what to do with medical, and that's really the crux of the issue across the board. I fear that their group will come against a lot of the same opposition that we did in 2010, and that's why we're looking very seriously at the best way to move forward on regulating medical cannabis.
So at this point,
everything's on the table. Everything is on the table.
So basically, at this point, Dale, you don't have any particular language drawn up, but you're polling and researching and working to build coalitions to come up with some language for 2012.
Well, I didn't say we didn't have language.
Oh, okay.
We do have language. To be honest, we have two different sets of language going, and perhaps even three if you count everyone within the current coalition. What we're exploring right now are those things that were not touched upon previously. We've got a great body of knowledge all about what we did do, what we did right, what we didn't do enough of, and what we did wrong in 2010. Now it's time to explore those things that were not under consideration in 2010, and that's what our partners in the cannabis movement have asked us to do. There's great concern about moving forward with legalization without some recognition of a regulated medical cannabis system. And we are looking at some of the same things that Dr. Lucido mentioned, the Department of Health, how taxes might work, what the overall regulatory program might look like. We are pretty clear now, after working with the legislature so closely for the last couple of years, that they don't feel confident that they can do it well. And I don't know that we want to leave it to them. So it's up to us to find the best path forward. And, I invite all of the folks from the Pure Legalization Coalition that Frank was just mentioning to come talk to us.
All right. Well, Dr. Lucido, let's get back to your Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act. From, the experience that we had in California with Prop 19, what lessons did you take from that in putting together the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act?
Well, one of the things that we have is one of the subsections said, this act shall not adversely affect the individual and group rights and protections afforded by California Health and Safety Code 11362.5 through 11362.83. So that means all of Prop 215 will be protected and all of Senate Bill 420 will be protected. So the arguments by people like Stoners against Prop 19 will be dissolved because we're spelling it right out that that medical will still be protected. No rights.
I hope they hear
away.
you, Frank. I do.
Pardon me?
Because they didn't. I hope they hear you. I mean, frankly, we said the same thing, and it was ignored.
Well, you know what they said, and I think they were wrong in saying this, but they said, well, you didn't say it explicitly. Like, obviously you said it, but,
right?
That's
why
it was time to say it explicitly.
I really do. I welcome the conversation and the debate.
Both of you, I kind of facetiously wrote about this after Prop 19 when I was analyzing what had happened, and I said the next legalization initiative needs to have 3 very important clauses in it. Clause number 1, this does not affect medical marijuana. Clause number 2, this does not affect medical marijuana. Clause number 3, if you think this affects medical marijuana, please see clause number 1 and clause number 2.
Well said.
But it's an interesting situation that we live in, or that you guys live in, I should say, in California being the first medical state and having, you got people that have grown up with this who know nothing different than the medical marijuana situation down there. And I can imagine they get a little frightened of change. So, Dale, what do you want to do this year to, try to soothe those feelings?
Well, first and foremost, it seems as though people did not feel heard in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's been a massive effort through the entire advocacy community, with the help of folks like Norml and DPA, MPP, and a lot of local groups throughout California to bring together different next step conferences, to have surveys out there, and then, again, to do real-life, hardcore political polling that, takes money and time. So we're moving forward with evidence-based research, which is a first for this. We haven't had, in recent memory, of course, 30 years ago was the last time that a Prop 19 came around.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, really our first opportunity to have factual numbers and realistic expectations rather than just, a shot of hope in the dark.
Yeah, good thing. All right, let's got to wind things up here. So, Dale, let me give you a chance to give all of the web addresses and contact info, both for any proposals and group working that you're doing on this legalization, and for Oaksterdam and expansion into Michigan.
Certainly. Well, cannabispolicyreform.org or just simply the Prop 19 website will redirect you if you want to learn more about what we're working on there. But more importantly, coming up here in just a couple of weeks, Oaksterdam University is coming to Michigan over Labor Day weekend, so you probably already have the time off of work. These seminars have been updated, and we dropped the price. So the basic seminar is only $250. It's all day Saturday and all day Sunday. We have an open house Saturday night if you just want to come by and check it out. We're also interested in offering breakout groups for advocates of other states to network with one another. So if you're from Ohio and you want to try to get Ohio going, come meet me in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and we can make that happen. Also, the advanced seminar on Monday, Labor Day, is only $100. That's what we usually charge just for Kyle Cushman.
Yeah.
But you're getting Kyle, you're getting patient relations, economics, and a full-blown caregiver course with an attorney, Matt Abel. So you're really getting a lot of bang for your buck in these 3 days, and it's driving distance to an awful lot of states. So I hope you visit oaksterdam.com and click on Michigan. Again, it's reduced price, just the September 3rd, 4th, and 5th, so it's right around the corner.
All right. Thank you, Dale.
See you there. I'm going to be there, too, with the whole family.
Fantastic. And will you be up in Seattle this weekend for HempFest?
Sadly, no. I had to pick one, and I am choosing Michigan. But much love to all of my old friends. I used to live in Seattle, and I'm so glad that they're able to continue to put that on.
Okay. Well, we hope to see you soon, and also hope to see your new baby soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Jackson. It's wonderful.
And Dr. Frank Lucido, practicing in California, medical marijuana expert and activist with the Cannabis Law Institute, the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act of 2012. Look up Dr. Frank Lucido on the Google, Lucido, and you'll find his blog and website, and Cannabis Law Institute to find more information about the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act of 2012. And Dr. Lucido, thank you for joining us here on Norml Show Live.
Oh, great. And can I say something really nice about Oaksterdam? I was in Michigan. I was wearing my Oaksterdam jacket, and I went into this Greasy Spoon, and the guy behind the counter said, "Oh, Oaksterdam, they were just here. This was in Ann Arbor." So you just had your classes there the week before, so your reputation precedes you.
That's what scares me. That wasn't actually us. That was another school.
No. This was Oaksterdam had already done a class there, right?
We had. This was a couple years ago, though. The last time that we
this was a couple years ago that I was wearing my jacket.
Oh, right on. Okay, no, I hear you. No, that was us, and we've actually taught now over 1,000 students out of our Michigan classes over the past 2 years. Michigan is amazing.
And there are some wannabes there. There are some wannabes, I know.
And more than half of the folks that came to the Michigan classes were from states other than Michigan. Blew my mind. Yeah, that's why we've made sure to write these classes for really any state to come and participate, with only a couple of specific Michigan points.
All right. Well,
I look forward to widening our coalition with the Prop 19 committee, and it's going to be a great campaign in the next 15 months.
All right.
I look forward to it.
We're all looking forward to it. California, we hope you lead the way in legalization. We get this passed at least in one state, hopefully 4 or 5. So Dale Sky Jones and Dr. Frank Lucido, thanks so much for joining us here on Norml Show Live.
Great. Thanks.
All right.
Yar! Thar be pirates here! Har, 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 har! The Pirate King! You know why we pirates love the Norml Show? Har, har! 'Cause it's always smoking matey! Har, 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 har!
This is Norml Show Live.
And now, another episode of Cannabis Shakespearean Theatre. I'm your host, Leonard Pinthgarnell III. Tonight we take a look at one of the finest works in the cannabis cinema, 1996's Half-Baked, starring David Chappelle, as interpreted by the Royal Shakespearean Cannabis Theatre Company. In this scene, Chappelle's character, Thurgood Marshall, has just admitted his addiction to cannabis to a room full of narcotics addicts. One addict, played in the film by Robert Saget, and interpreted here by the Royal Company's Sir Frederick Farrach, takes umbrage at the suggestion.
I find preposterous the notion that you, sir, may be addicted to cannabis. In times previous, I have undertaken lubricious endeavours, most revolting and unbecoming of a proper gentleman, in my servitude to the wicked powder of the coca leaf. Lo, that is an addiction whose chains would bind Hercules. At any point in history, could one identify a moment in your life so sullied by your ignominy as a cannabis slave? Methinks not! Boo this man!
For Cannabis Shakespearean Theatre, I'm Leonard Pinthgarnell III.
Legalization, decriminalization, lowest law enforcement priority, medical marijuana, ganja sacrament, consumer cannabis, industrial hemp. The world of marijuana law reform involves many different aspects of cannabis that interact nearly every public policy discussion in America, including healthcare, the economy, global climate change, law enforcement in prisons, immigration, religion, free speech, energy policy, and war. Now, we take a look at how re-legalizing marijuana will change the world in our Norml Show Live Cannabis Conversations.
All right, welcome back, folks. I pulled up Cannabis Conversations because I have yet to create a spiffy new intro for our new segment, which is going to be Todd's Tuesday Toker Topics, and we welcome Todd Armstrong back to the show. How you doing, Todd?
Excellent. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. Where are you performing next, sir?
I will be at the Tonic Lounge tomorrow night on about 30th and Sandy in Portland, Oregon.
All right. Well, check that out. And, of course, Goob the Knob.
That's right. On Facebook, Twitter, everything.
Up on the Facebook, up on the Twitter, Goob the Knob. Is it safe for work?
It is safe. It's all PG. I like to push boundaries, but not step on any toes.
All right, Goob the Knob on the Twitter and the Facebook. So for our Tuesday Toker topic today, we bring you potheads versus stoners. Take it away, Todd.
Well, yes. Hello, Norml Nation. And first off, I'd like to say that stereotypes are never to be believed, but they come from occurrences. And so these are some of the occurrences that I often notice with potheads and stoners. A pothead is an individual that feels that they can fix any problem, and a stoner is a person that believes weed will fix any problem. Now, if you typically like a sativa blend, you're more of a pothead. You like to do things because that's what encroaches upon your activities. And if you like an indica, you typically like that to be your only activity, which is on the couch. You can often spot a pothead from his appearance. It's really kind of tough. He'll go across all barometers of life, but you can also spot a stoner based upon their entire head-to-toe paraphernalia. From the cords to the hemp shirts to the hemp necklaces and bracelets. Now, you can spot them out in public, and they're often getting their own meals, and this is where you can break the potheads apart from the stoners. The pothead will be the individual walking to the New Seasons Market in his 5-fingered creepy toes to make his ultimate vegan casserole back at home. A stoner will drive 3 blocks to Carl's Jr. because he doesn't want to lose his high. Now they'll go back home and make that meal or eat that meal and watch their entertainment. I've found that potheads will typically focus on a documentary, and stoners will typically focus on Star Wars or Half-Baked. Because you have 3 hours to kill, might as well. Now, if you're not an entertainment pothead or stoner, I've noticed the similarities between your pets. Now, I've noticed that most potheads will have a cat or a dog that they can enjoy their activities with. Common name, Dip, Chip, Brad, whatever it may be. But I've noticed that stoners have more of the exotic pets, like the piranhas or iguanas that they like to watch. And they like to name them odd stoner names, like, oh, these are the 4 fish I had. That's Spicoli, there's Bud, there's Dank, there's Reef. I'm sorry, we named him Keith because we thought it was kind of funny. I know you've noticed these things as well. But I'm not saying stoners are always wrong. I'm not saying that at all. Stoners are more resourceful. They'll smoke the same pot pipe that they made in shop class 23 years ago. Well, a pothead will go to a head shop and spend $1,700 on a $1,600 7-perk that looked like the artist was masturbating to a J.R.R. Tolkien novel on mescaline. We all have our problems and we all need to vaporize. I'm not judging, but let's all get along. Stoners, help the potheads calm down. Potheads, find something for the stoners to do. I'm Todd Armstrong. Thank you guys very much. I'll see you next Tuesday.
Oh, yes. Bravissimo. We all love it. The studio audience is going crazy for it. They love you, Todd. They love you.
Stop throwing panties, please. Please.
You know, I think I saw a piece one time, you know, speaking of the potheads who'll buy the $1,700 piece. One of the pieces that I saw was I tweeted out that I didn't know whether to smoke out of it or to begin a revolution for Cthulhu.
Oh, absolutely. Just the Gandalf pipe's one thing, but the thing that Gandalf would battle is often made into a 7-perk bong. So that's
yeah. Ganja John down there at the Medical Cannabis Cup too, he was token out of this bong that had a stormtrooper head on it where the bowl was. And so that's why I was taking the picture. And then later on he goes and tells me, dude, that was like a $10,000 bong. Because it had its own, like, built-in flame built into the glass that would trigger pull and light itself.
Just like a barbecue? Like someone put part of a barbecue and self-ignite? Holy shit.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Which always, you know, tells me that it's like, we need to set potheads loose on the big problems of society. I mean, we are the guys that can make, literally in Montana, me and Greta Gaines and her drummer were making a pipe out of a cruller.
Yes.
You know, donut.
Absolutely.
So, you know, set our creativity loose.
I built a sail yesterday. I don't even have a sailboat. I built a sail for my paddleboard. My wife thought I was insane. You do these things.
Yeah. All right. So, Todd Armstrong's going to join us every Tuesday here for Todd's Toker Tuesday Toker Topics. We'll get some cool music for the background and everything. And
DJ, mix it up.
Yeah, we'll get a logo and everything. It'll be a lot of fun. But, we want to encourage any of you, if you've got, stuff that you want to have up on Norml Show Live, as far as you got bands that you know, comedians that you know, send me an email at stash@norml.org. We're always looking for great talent, great content to add here to the show. And, you know, your friends could be a part of it. You never know what might happen. You know, Todd showed up here for a show and we said, hey, come back. so it can happen. So be a part of it. Also, don't forget this weekend, Seattle Hemp Fest is happening. How could you forget? I keep telling you. Seattle Hemp Fest is happening 3 days this year, 20th anniversary celebration. 3 days. Oh my God. I am speaking on Friday, early, and on Sunday, late. So I have the bulk of Seattle Hemp Fest free this year to collect interviews and go see bands and stuff. It'll be a lot of fun. If you want to see the whole schedule, go to the Norml website, norml.org, Norml.org. I've got a post up about Seattle Hemp Fest, a downloadable PDF with all 4 of the main stage schedules and all the Norml speakers highlighted. So you can find all of us out there, and I was kind of surprised to see how much we are dominating the stages at Seattle Hempfest. It's good the message is getting out. Also visit our Norml booth. We're out there in the right next to the sound on the rocks there. As you're facing the main stage, just look to your left, to the left of all the food. You'll find the Norml booth, because this year we have a 7-foot helium balloon with the Norml logo on it right in front of our booth. So you'll be able to find us quite easily. I hope I see you there.
This is Norml Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation.
All right, I'm Radical Russ for Cannabis Carry and Token Todd Armstrong. Thanks for joining us here at Norml Show Live. Stay tuned for Hour 2, Toker Talk Radio, and Legalization Week tomorrow in Colorado. Until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
You plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you root it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth.